It's good to have you with us. We begin this bulletin with the National Assembly matters, as the National Assembly recently voted for a $54 million loan scheme for lawmakers. The move has since ignited a hot public debate, with some saying the Assembly should never have done such. To get an insider's view, Grts spoke to Honorable Alaji S. Dabo of Brikama North, who voted against the motion, while Honorable Sao of Central Badibu supported it. Let's take a listen.
Of records, can you say your name and the constituency you represent?
Thank you. I am Honorable Sao, representing Central Badibu constituency.
Okay. Mr. Sao, we understand that there's this loan that is about to be given to the MPs. Can you shed light on it a little?
Thank you very much. I don't know what the noise is all about, because this is something that is not strange and is something that is not illegal. Do you understand? This is an estimate. So members propose that there should be a loan package. It's not a gift. Do you understand? It's not neither a gift nor a bribe. So this loan package will be there for NAMs to have access to it. Do you understand? Now, if you go, do you understand? So we felt that National Assembly also must have access to loan that they can develop themselves. Do you understand? Now, now where the problem is, some people talk about the timing. Yes, it's quite right. But we believe that we can start. We must start. Do you understand? Now it depends on the finance to see whether it's feasible or not feasible in the allocations. Do you understand? Now, let the finance prioritize when we request for it. But we must start from somewhere. Even if it's not possible with us, the parliament to come, they can have access to these loans. What do they expect from parliamentarians? You go to parliament, after end of your term, you still renting or you become homeless. Parliament should be dignified. And we don't want to be going to people to be begging. Do you understand? Or to be corrupt. So we must be motivated. In other parliaments, if you go there, they allocate cash for themselves. How many vehicles do we allocate for various institutions and ministries? And when they have cash, who is talking about that? So if you have access to this loan, you will pay it. Do you understand? If your term finishes, then your gratuity is there. They can deduct it from it.
How much is the package?
The package is almost 54 million. Do you understand? So, but I don't see it as criminal. I don't see it as a crime. I don't think, in fact, it's worth for all this noise.
So how much is unpaid can MP loan?
No, I think 800,000. Do you understand? Not more than that. But it depends. Some people, they might not in fact need it. Some NAMs said they will not need it. But we must create a base. Even if it is not possible within our time, the parliament to come, the next bite to come, they will find this package there. Do you understand? Then they can pay. We approved for constituency development fund last year. But it was not given. Up to now, it's not given. There are a lot of budget lines which we are not given. Finance did not have money to give it to them. A case in point was SAB. We have approved a lot. And certain institutions, there are many, the list will tell. I don't know whether you are following. There are parliamentarians who are, against of it. Do you understand? Particularly the Honorable Member of Serekunda. He came with a motion for Parliament to resign with reasons. Do you understand? Those are his personal, arguments. So I don't blame him for that. But what I want Gambians to understand, this is the Parliament. Do you understand?
Mention his name, please,
Honorable Member of Serekunda, Halifa Salah. Do you understand? He's against it because of the reasons that he portrayed, the timing and the procedure. Fine. But what we are saying is, I don't think what we have done is illegal. Do you understand? There is no illegality in it. Do you understand? So Parliament is here to make, do you understand, laws and unmake laws. So we are the supreme body. So how can we cry more than the brief? How can we, share the cake to others and leave our own self? Tomorrow we'll be begging.
Honorable Dabo, just for the purpose of record, can you say your name and the constituency you represent?
I'm Honorable Alhaji S. Dabo, Brikama North.
I also understand that you voted against the proposed loan for the NAMs. What are your reasons, please?
Well, as a matter of simple procedure and principle, under the current situation that we found ourselves, the budget this year is about 6 billion deficits. we were trying as much as possible to see how best we can reduce the budget deficits. On the basis of that, I think the initiative to have the loan scheme for the NAMs is not a bad idea. It's a privilege that the NAMs are entitled to. But under this circumstance, I think the timing is not quite.
Still on parliamentary matters, the National Assembly on Monday considered the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Bill 2020 and 3 others, including the Information and Communications Amendment Bill 2020, brought to the National Assembly by the Information Minister, Honorable Ibrahim Silla. As Louis Many reports, the Information and Communication Amendment Bill 2020 seeks to promote freedom of expression and media development in the country.
Quality Assurance Authority Bill 2020 was one of the 4 bills considered by the National Assembly on Monday. Badara Aliou Diouf, the Minister of Higher Education, who placed the bill before the National Assembly, said it aims at indigenizing and domesticating the Authorities Act to meet the labor needs of the country.
The bill also seeks to widen accessibility to quality and relevant public and private tertiary and higher education by regulating and guiding the registration, licensing, accreditation, and the general management of tertiary and higher education institutions in the Gambia.
The bill was unanimously supported by the NAMs, leading to its consideration. The Gambia Public Procurement Authority GPPA Bill 2020 was also considered by the NAMs on Monday without condemnation. Minister Mamouren Njai, who brought the bill to the House, said the new working tool is that of international standard and if strictly followed can fix the procurement challenges at the GPPA, including compliance among public institutions and agencies.
There is a growing recognition of the existence of a strong linkage between national development objectives and public procurement practice. Therefore, to get most out of the limited funds available to the country like the Gambia as it purchases goods, services, and infrastructure, we must be ready to build on the successes achieved and lessons learned within our theater of operation for public procurement.
Sekou Jaju Dinam for Busumbala, Suleiman Sa of Central Badibu, and Honorable Halifa Saleh of Serekunda all supported the GPPA Bill 2020.
It's going to promote the image of the country as far as financial management is concerned.
The Information and Communications Amendment Bill 2020, placed before the National Assembly for the second time by Honorable Ibrahim Silla, the Information Minister, was also considered by the NAMs. The bill seeks to promote freedom of expression and media development in the country, thus repealing some of the media laws that Information Minister said have endangered mutual trust between the government and the media.
This bill, if amended as proposed, will further strengthen our newfound democracy in the Gambia, as it will support the domestication of international laws by repealing from the IC Act 2009 as amended in 2013 provisions that are inconsistent with international standards, thereby enhancing the Gambia's conformity to international standards, treaties, and conventions to which the Gambia is signatory to.
Honorable Madi Sise of Serekunda West had this to say.
The bill also aims to provide legal redress for persons that are aggrieved. This is very progressive, as it was absent in the previous systems.
I want to talk about the responsibility. And I'm very happy that member for Serekunda West also talked about it, to warn, because that is his profession. Let us not misuse or abuse the situation that the government wants to give the ample for freedom for journalists to exercise their rights in a most freely way. We should also be responsible.
The National Health Insurance Bill 2020 was also considered by the NAMs. Finance Minister Mamouren Njai, who presented the bill on behalf of the Health Minister, said it seeks to promote the right to health care services.
The scheme is expected to benefit the population by eliminating
or reducing out-of-pocket expenditure on health, which according to the National Health Account Survey accounts for 24.55% according to the 2017 survey, providing financial risk protection, increasing access to quality healthcare services, and improving the overall health system for better service delivery.
The National Health Insurance Bill 2020 seeks to establish a National Health Insurance Authority to implement a health insurance scheme and establish a fund which will pay the cost of the healthcare systems to members of the scheme, as well as make provisions for the private health insurance scheme. Louis Mendy, GRTS. The National
Gambia has joined the rest of the world to commemorate World AIDS Day, observed annually on the 1st December. Meanwhile, the United Nations country coordinator to the Gambia, Sarafin Wakana, delivered a televised statement on the commemoration, stating that some 1.7 million people are infected with HIV/AIDS each year, and 690,000 die of it. This, according to the statement by the UN top diplomat, means that those who are least able to stand up for their rights are most affected. Here is an excerpt.
Has much to teach the fight against COVID-19. We know that to end AIDS and defeat COVID-19, we must eliminate stigma and discrimination, put people at the center, and ground our responses in human rights and gender-responsive approaches. Wealth should not determine whether people get the health care they need. We need the COVID-19 vaccine and HIV treatments and care that are affordable and available to everyone, everywhere. Health is a human right. Health must be top investment priority to achieve universal health coverage. On this World AIDS Day, let us recognize that to overcome COVID-19 and end AIDS, the world must stand in solidarity and share responsibility. I thank you all for your kind attention.
The Minister of Tourism and Culture, Hamad N.K. Ba, has concluded his provincial leg of visits to tourist facilities. Well, Honorable Ba earlier joined us live on the phone. Let's take a listener to expand more on that visit.
Now joins us live on the line to expand more on his latest visit. Good evening, Honorable, and welcome to GRTS.
Good evening, GRTS.
Yes, now you've recently concluded your second nationwide tour, of course a 7-day tour. What is the state of tourist facilities in the regions visited?
Let me just make a correction. I have not yet concluded. I have finished the provinces. I'm now moving to the greater Banjul area as soon as possible. But let me also say that our
Very
visit
well.
last
Thank
year
you, and thank you for the correction.
Yes. So let me just say our visit in February gave us an opportunity to help and show people that the facilities they have are governed by law and that they need to operate within the law. And there are things that they need to do, they didn't know how to do it. There are things that they were supposed to do, they didn't have the means to do it. And we gave them all the technical expertise and knowledge and know-how and supported them. And also, if you know that, if you are aware that we also gave them financial support. So it was important to go back and see what they've done with that money and what they've done with what we asked them to do when we were there in February. And for them also to understand that even though they own the properties, but this property has to operate within a law. And that law, we are the one who should reinforce that law. And upon our visit, we realized 90% of them have met all the targets that we have set for them. And some of them have done extremely well, although some areas still need to do better. Places like Parapenya, the facilities are extremely bad. Something needs to be done there. And then there needs to be an improvement in other places. But I think overall assessment, it was a very successful mission for us because we have started people seeing that now even though you own a hotel, you own a restaurant, you own a bar, you own a nightclub, you own a casino, there are rules governing, there are standards that you must meet up to be able to operate.
Very well. Many thanks, Honorable Hamad Nkeba, there for the correction. Now, we do know that your ministry, of course, has been encouraging domestic tourism. Now, what could be done to encourage to ease our dependence on international tourists?
To encourage domestic tourism, first of all, the facilities must be there. And that's why, prior to COVID, we have already foreseen the need as a government to really make sure we develop facilities of country so that it can enhance our desire to help domestic tourism. And that's why you see the new camps, the hotels that we are building, that the Gambia Tourism Government is building through the Gambia Tourism Board in order to give it to Gambians to manage. We are not into management. We are only trying to kickstart the process so that other private sector investors also can invest in. And I have seen few of them coming up in Podekunda and different other areas. Gambians want to go to good places. I think you must also accept that Gambians have gone up to another level where they would like to go with their children, with their families, with their friends, with their loved ones, to go and spend a holiday and spend a weekend. And we've seen it when we are on visit. We saw some Gambians who are on weekend holidays with their kids, and this is the type of tourism that we want to develop. All the facilities must be there. Gambians want quality products that they can enjoy, and that the Ministry of Tourism and Culture must make sure that those facilities are available.
Very well, we must make sure that the facilities are there and as well the quality is there. Now, Honorable, you did say that land scarcity is forcing farmers in some parts of the Central River region to move into Senegal. Now, what help do you think the government could extend to these farmers?
I think what we need to do is to have new techniques and a new methodology of feeding our livestock, our animals. I think once we have a means of feeding them without depending on grazing, mass grazing that they are moving on, we try to develop and manage them and try to get the means of keeping them. That would help. And also develop our rice field. And that would enable farmers who do not have land to feed our livestock. That would make a difference. If not, we would stand to lose a lot of people going out of this country. You must understand Gambia is one of the most populated, densely populated countries in Africa. So land is an issue for us. And it has started affecting us right from Fuladu across the country on the south. Most people have moved into the Senegal area because they don't have land to feed their animals and also to farm on. And these are issues that we have to look into as a government to see how best we can come with new techniques of making sure we feed our livestock. And then, of course, that will make a difference for them. They will not be going out to look for somewhere to feed their livestock. And we need to manage land. And Gambians want land to manage land. Land is going to be a very difficult issue in the next 20, 50 years to come in this country. So we should start doing some policies to manage it right now. One of our greatest disappointments is the destruction of the environment. That although we came to places where we found people who are really destroying the forest cover massively and without any reason. And that, of course, we took it up with the police and the Ministry of Environment to make sure that we protect the nature, the natural beauty of this country. If we are to destroy all this forest cover, then it means we are nowhere. Ecotourism will be dead because people want to see nature. They want to be with nature.
Very well.
These people need to be handled.
Very well. Many thanks to you, Honorable Ahmad Nkeba, the Minister for Tourism and Culture. Many thanks for joining us on the GRTS News.
We also thank GRTS for being always with us and being on there for the Ghanaian people. We are very grateful to GRTS.
Thank you. Much obliged. Many thanks to you, Honorable Hamad Nkeba, there, the Minister of Tourism and Culture, talking to us on the outcome, of course, of his recent tour to rural Gambia and set to continue in the urban areas, hopefully in the coming days. Now, still ahead for you.
That was the Minister of Tourism and Culture, Hamad Nkeba, talking to us on the outcome of his recent nationwide tour to tourist facilities in rural Gambia. As part of activities marking the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, government institutions and civil society organizations continue to dialogue on issues affecting women. Members of the Network for Gender-Based Violence on Monday paid a courtesy call to the Minister of Women, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte. The visit was meant to discuss key issues concerning the campaign on violence against women and girls in the country. Fatou Diba reports.
To the Office of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare availed officials the opportunity to discuss significant issues relating to the health and well-being of women and girls. Paying special focus to women's health, gender inequality, and domestic violence, officials elaborated on the need for a collaborative effort to address the needs of victims concerned.
We highlighted three key important issues. One is the ratification of the ILO Convention and possible domestication of the convention into our national laws of the Gambia. And secondly, we also advocating for the ministry to ensure that there is allocation of fundings to support victims and survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And the third issue is to create or establish special court for sexual and gender-based violence.
So we have to do everything possible to make sure that when we have, cases of gender-based violence, it is addressed, in a timely manner. So once again, I just want to emphasize the fact that as a ministry, we are responsible for the coordination of all activities relating to women, children, gender and children. So we'll continue to collaborate and work with you. So if you have any question, anything that you want to discuss with this ministry, our doors are always open.
Rohiata C. Kaur of the Network Against Gender-Based Violence called for communities, especially on a substance used by women, locally called taba. The substance, which is used by some women to satisfy their sexual needs, is said to have a serious health complication.
They said this taba is coming from the region. But during the short research we are doing, because we haven't done a full research yet, because we haven't got the funds yet, but through partnership, I know we can do a full coverage, because it's within the region, and I'm saying it's beyond the region, because whatever is in Gambia is in Europe. So taba has been taken as a miracle for medication, traditional medicine, etc. But the worst is taba is killing.
Because there's a lot of sexual harassment in the workplaces. And we are aware of this, and they must stop. Sometimes it's encouraged by the women themselves. Yes. Yeah, so you don't have to put all the blame on the men. Sometimes it's encouraged by the women themselves. Yeah, so we have to do a lot of awareness creation. And once we have the ILO Convention in place, if anybody is found wanting, the right course of action will be taken against you.
According to officials, the law surrounding violence against women and girls should be popularized for the protection of their rights. Fatou Diba for Grts News.
Moving on to other news relating to development in the Greater Banjul area, an online training on Sustainable Urban Development Plan Management 2020-2040 was conducted at the height of the pandemic in November 2020. 50 participants were certified at the Sadauda Kairaba International Conference Center in Bijilo. Sahjuv covered the ceremony and filed in this report.
The project seeks to build the capacity of project beneficiaries, including municipalities and area councils under the Ministry of Land and Regional Government, as well as Gambia Ports Authority, to judiciously deliver basic services to the citizenry. Agade Nugare, the project manager, highlights the importance of the project in harnessing government's development agenda.
Yeah, the importance of this project management training is so tremendous for the Gambia, because the Gambia is now developing at a very fast pace, and there are a lot of investments that are coming to the country, and it's absolutely crucial for the Gambia to have a cohort of trained project managers to deliver those projects efficiently and also to ensure maximum benefits for the people of the Gambia.
The top candidate of the online training, Harriet Sajo, said the training will help her to effectively execute her official duties.
The training, it will really help me, because as a young civil servant, working with local people, you need to have capabilities, you need to have an understanding of them, and then you need to have approaches in which you need to deal with them in order to effect life-changing services to them. So Prince 2 will really affect that, given the fact very well recognized and appropriate, will help me execute that.
The first phase of the training certified 50 participants, while members of the second cohort are scheduled their training in few months' time. Sehjuv, Grts News. The
20-day training on processing and preservation of agro-commodities for youths and women is underway in Jawara North Bank region. 25 participants drawn from within the region are attending the training meant to equip them with skills and knowledge on agro-processing, thereby enabling them to become self-employed in a bid to curb unemployment. The training, according to our regional correspondent Famara Kanyi, is funded by the International Trade Center.
5 youths in the North Bank region are currently benefiting from a 3-week training program on processing of agro-commodities. The training seeks to provide participants with skills and knowledge on agro-processing to enable them become self-employed in society. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Mama Mane of the Njawara Agricultural Training Center noted the significance of the training. He said the 3 weeks intensive learning will provide participants with skills and knowledge to become self-reliant.
You people are fortunate enough to be part of this training. Kindly request you to take this training very seriously.
John Mendy, Principal Agricultural Officer at the Regional Agriculture Directorate in the North Bank, added that the training will cut down the scale of post-harvest loss in the region.
North Bank is one of the most affected regions in terms of youth migration. One of the major reasons for this trend is lack of meaningful employment, lack of skills, and lack of finance to enter into entrepreneurship. Right now, all over the region, there are more than 85 functional garden schemes that produce different kinds of vegetables, ranging from onions, cabbage, tomato, pepper, garden egg, and the list goes on. The COVID-19 this year has had a lot of negative impact on our women folks. The pandemic strikes during the horticultural season, and so the marketing of garden produce has seriously been affected due to lockdowns and market restrictions.
He cited the severe challenges vegetable growers sustained last season due to the COVID-19 outbreak, attributing it to the lack of processing skills and insufficient storage facilities across the region. The chairperson of the Kerawan Area Council, Malamin I.L. Bojang, and the governor's representative all thanked the Food Technology Services for the gesture, adding that it will create more employment opportunities for youths and women in the region. Momodu Lamin Job, acting director of Food Technology Services, said his department is rolling out this training to curb the scale of post-harvest loss, as well provide meaningful employment for youths and women. He used the platform to thank the EU and the UN bodies for supporting the training.
The need for this training, EU, who is the funder through ITC, have made an observation or a survey that we have a gap in skill orientation, particularly agro-processing. Which is, if you look at the value chain, is one of the weakest chain. So as that need arise, so they now pilot the program to see youths are recruited and to be trained practically on agro-processing.
The 3 weeks intensive training is funded by the International Trade Center, the Gambia office, through the Job, Skills and Finance program. For the news, I am Famara Kanyi.
We'll be back with sports news right after this break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. The Gambia Secondary School Sports Association, in partnership with its main sponsors, the Gambia Teachers Union, Cooperative Credit Union, recently gave out cash prizes to winners of the 2020 Inter-Schools Athletics Championship. Details in this report by Mamadou S. Jallo.
In March 2020, schools throughout the country converged on the Independence Stadium to compete in the National Inter-Schools Athletics Championship. The 3-day event produced a spectacle, with some jaw-dropping performances from the competing athletes. At the end of the championship, Latrikunda Sabeji Upper Basic School and Bottrop Technical Senior Secondary School fend off stiff competition to retain their respective titles in the junior and senior secondary school categories. And as champions, Bottrop and Latrikunda Sabeji, with the runners-up, have been presented with cash prizes as winners at a ceremony held at the Gambia Teachers Union headquarters in Kanifing. The Secondary School Sports Association, the body responsible for organizing the athletics championship, with its main sponsor, the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union, presented checks totaling $250,000 to the winners. In the junior schools category, Latrikunda Sabeji Upper Basic School, who have now won the title 6 times in a row, received $50,000 as winners. Presentation of Mary Upper Basic School received $25,000 as first runner-up and $15,000 for Bara Esa Upper Basic School as second runner-up. Bottrop Technical Senior Secondary School received a check for $100,000 as winners of the senior secondary school category, with Bakwata Senior Secondary School pocketing $50,000 and $25,000 for Nusrat Senior Secondary School as first and second runners-up. Bakwata also got $10,000 for winning the Best Fan Club. The National Inter-Schools Athletics Competition is the biggest athletics event in the Gambia, which serves as the breeding ground for producing good athletes. One such example is Gina Bars, who is the reigning African Games champion over 200 meters. And the organizers are pleading with other institutions to emulate the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union by supporting this important event.
Through secondary school sports, the Gambia can become a champion at whatever level in competitions, both in athletics and in football and in all other domains. So I want to proudly say this, the Secondary School Sports Association have produced a lot of athletes. This event today is earmarked as a result of the contributions of Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union, without which we will find it very difficult to be able to realize our dreams.
The general manager of the Teachers Cooperative Credit Union described the support given to the Secondary School Sports Association as a corporate responsibility which his office deems necessary to help promote sports and the well-being of students.
Having had the opportunity to witness the last two finals, I mean, it dawned on me that this is something that has to be for eternity. As long as GTU-CCU exists and I am at the helm of things, you have a partner.
The GTU-CCU boss also recognized the live coverage of the last two championships by the Gambia Radio and Television Services, which has not only provided visibility but helping to revive the popular athletics championship, and promised to continue partnering with the state broadcaster for the needed coverage of the national championship.
I know GRTS has been, flagging our products and everything on that day. We do not receive that level of publicity any other day of the year. So we're also looking forward to 2021, where Mr. Jallo and his team will come back for us to agree how we can showcase the many good things that GTU-CCU is doing, but very few people know about.
Now that the winners have collected their cash prize, the focus shifts to the next edition in 2021. Omodes Jallo, GRT Sports.
We'll take another short break. When we return, we'll look at international news. Welcome back. We begin the internationals in Sudan, where the Rakuba refugee camp has been revived as refugees fleeing conflict in Ethiopia continue to arrive. The UN Refugee Agency says it is worried about the situation, citing lack of access to internally displaced persons. Details in this CGTN report.
2 weeks ago, this town was a desert outpost on the border between Sudan and Ethiopia. But to both Sudan and Ethiopia, Kuba refugee camp holds memories of a troubled past for residents of Tigray. Between 1983 and 85, Ethiopia was in the midst of a conflict and a raging famine that killed over 1 million residents of Tigray. Many fled into this camp as a world that had too much food to waste, while the people of Ethiopia died in numbers, united in guilt. Lots of charity events were held as funds were raised to mitigate the hunger. Now, 20 years after closure, Kuba refugee camp is back to life. Another conflict is raging once again in Tigray, and more refugees have been arriving here. The UN estimates that over 44,000 Ethiopians have crossed into Sudan. However, most of them are being held in transit camps, but slightly over 9,000 are already settling in this camp.
Up until now, there are over 9,000 refugees. There is not enough water in the camp. We are in need of more, and also in need of sanitary infrastructure.
UNHCR and other aid agencies are setting up amenities for the refugees. Makeshift learning places are also being factored in as children of school-going age continue arriving.
Behind me there's the first 5 of the classrooms. On another site in the camp we have another 5. There'll be 2 shifts of about 40 students each, so in this initial phase we'll just help 800 people.
Meanwhile, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees says the lack of access to Tigray could be dangerous for internally displaced persons in northern Ethiopia.
I'm also very worried about the situation inside Ethiopia on 2 accounts in particular. One, which I share with other humanitarian organizations. We still have no access to all the people that we used to assist before and to people freshly displaced by the fighting. And I want to renew here the appeal that we humanitarians have made to the federal authorities of Ethiopia to grant us that access, because people are in need and we need to collect information and to provide assistance to them.
The UNHCR boss also said the body has appealed for $147 million to help sustain Ethiopian refugees for the next 6 months. Daniel Arab Moy, CGTN.
The death toll of a gruesome attack on civilians by Boko Haram militants in Nigeria over the weekend has gone up, according to a UN report. CGTN's Phil Ihaza reports from Abuja.
Agencies confirmed the death toll at 43, but according to the UN resident coordinator in Nigeria, Edward Kalon, the number of people slaughtered by the militant group could be as high as 110. Farmers harvesting crops in Borno State were attacked by armed men in a Jere local government area in what the UN calls the most violent direct assault on civilians this year. Kalon also says many women may have been kidnapped by the terrorists during the attack and has urged security operatives to intensify efforts to find them. He also extended his condolences to the families of the victims and wished a speedy recovery to the wounded. Despite the government's claim of winning the war against terrorism in the northeast, insurgents have continued to carry out a series of deadly assaults in the area, killing at least 30,000 people and displacing millions more since 2009. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the attack and promised to increase security presence in the area to curb further activities of the terrorist group. The top UN official says the global body is working with the humanitarian agencies to provide life-saving and development assistance to vulnerable people in the area. Phil?
Actually a very sad situation. It calls for a very drastic measure to be taken. But why now? It's you can't wish off terrorist attacks. They've been on and changing tactics. You know, this is an asymmetric warfare. They try to change their mode and their style of operation. Because the Nigerian military have been able to downgrade them substantially, they now target on soft targets, attacking civilians who they think are harmless, who cannot fight back, just to make statements and to state that they are still active to fight. Insurgency and terrorism is a long fight. It's not as simple as identifying your enemy and fighting with your enemy and winning. it goes further than that. If you check the world record, the world over, all the countries that are witnessing insurgency and terrorism attack, you find out that these insurgents or these terrorists change their style and attacks, and they come and attack. Insurgency and terrorism war continue because these people keep on re-strategizing. And as we speak, the victory that the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military would say to have gotten is that people can move around.
And before we end this newscast, a recap of the day's top stories. Lawmakers at the National Assembly have reacted to the $54 million loan scheme designed to support National Assembly members. Winners of the 2020 Inter-Schools Athletic Championship have received cash prizes courtesy of the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Rakuba refugee camp has been revived as refugees fleeing conflict in Ethiopia continue to arrive. And the death toll of a gruesome attack on civilians by Boko Haram in Nigeria has gone up according to a UN report. Well, that was all in this edition of the Weekday News. Thanks for watching.
La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Gambia, Dawda Jawara.